A finale to another show, Days with My Stepsister, episode 12. There's some interesting ways that we can go here. We're almost presenting a lot of stuff thus far in the sort of fashion that seemingly is getting further and further apart for our two siblings, and they're both coming to realizations and conclusions almost that this is a good thing, that they should spend more time apart, and that they should find more people, and they should keep their relationship just as siblings, and we shouldn't push any further, and they keep continuously trying to convince themselves that that is the case, ending off with the previous episode in the exact position where they each learn a ton of stuff about that from different outside sources, and now can start moving into possibly meeting expanding circles and in finding new people. We see with Yuta finding a new person that he goes to this cram school with, and he meets up with her, who's been pretty interesting so far whenever she's been on screen, and also at the same time this other guy that we know has an interest in Saki, and they are finally meeting up and going to this group study session, which is where she finds herself. So now the direction is pretty obvious where we go, right? There's two routes, and it has to fall likely into one or the other. The first one is probably both of them learn more about these people, discover that this is a really cool situation for them to be in, and start falling either for that person or moving more in the direction of, I need to keep getting out and finding new people and definitely stray away from this relationship. Option number two is they talk to these people, they go through these experiences, they realize that no, these people are mad weird, or they're not exactly what I want, and they can't get this other person, aka their brother, sister, off their mind, and then they come closer together, and by the end find themselves together. I think those are likely the only two scenarios that we really find ourselves in, and those might be the only two scenarios in general that we're in. Now, it could be wrong, right? It could find ourselves in a situation where Saki meets this guy and she doesn't have an interest in the slightest in him, and just confirms that her feelings for Yuta are actually real, and she goes out of her way to let him know, but he instead finds out that his new partner that he ends up finding here is actually great and he likes her. Or we could do the reverse of that, where Yuta doesn't actually like her, but Saki takes an interest in this other guy, and Yuta feels like he then misses out due to the warning and everything he was given directly from Maya. So we could actually, I guess, technically play into only one side. I feel like we're going to go both. It's either going to be they both have a really good time and separate even further and just keep their balance of their relationship, or they both have a really bad time with that person or experiences here and it brings them closer together. I feel like it's going to be one of the two, but maybe they flip it on us and they do one and one. We'll gladly see what exactly happens, but hopefully you guys do enjoy regardless. If you like it all, like and subscribe to me. Feel free to stick around for the discussion. After the discussion on this episode, I'll talk about the overall series as a whole, some things I like, some things I didn't like, some things I don't know, whatever else kind of is on the mind when it actually ends up coming up. And we'll do that after. Timestamps will be in the description. But yeah, leave any comments, though, about this episode, the series in general. And let's get going with our finale of Days with My Stepsister.
得意科目と不得意科目の差というのは、正解を知っているかどうかではなく、正解の見つけ方を知っているかどうかだった。
Sure.
苦手科目だと、参考書から似た問題を見つけ出すことも、ネットで調べることもできない。では、そういう時はどうしたらいいか。
Send a helping hand to somebody who does know.
でも、今なら答えられる。
Surround yourself with the right people. Yep. Ah, it's so beautiful to see how much she's learning so far.
ということはスキルなのだ。他人の心を覗くことができない以上。
Wouldn't even necessarily say a skill. I say it's more just a barrier that once you learn to cross it, you're good. How come you haven't told your brother you like him then? That's the fuck you have. And you've been avoiding for Lord knows how long. Saki and Yuta would be my guess for the title. Not treating women right. Oh, he sees it? I didn't even talk. Yeah, we chill. We can just hang out.
浅村くんの気になるところは。
What do you mean by that?
勉強していましたからナンパではないとなると、これは逃避先を探しているんだろうなと。
Sure.
プリン注文させてもらっていいですか？
え？
ここのプリンめっちゃ美味しいんで。
It's exactly something Freeman would say. Huh.
苦しい恋から逃げるために次の恋を探そうとする。
Ooh, fun.
そもそもさ、俺が好きになったのは好きになっちゃいけない人なんだ。
You just tell someone that you like your sister.
それ忘れなきゃいけ
That
ない
is
ん
true.
だ。
Causes a lot of problems for a lot of people. Potentially.
どうやら無理みたいで。
ちょっと私と夜遊びしましょう。付き合ってくださ
Go
い。
to the arcade, we'll hang out a bit. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to learn. Why you gotta do it when a train's crossing? So we can't hear? She clearly heard. What if they both run into each other and go out?
俺、綾瀬が好きだ。
I'll repeat it again. Fuck it.
ありがとう。
I don't know though. How do I respond to that?
言われて悪い気は。
Do you think she just feels more guilt now that she can't tell Yuta?
私はあなたはそういう相手としては見られそうもないです。
付き合ってる人いるの？
いないよ。
No.
好きな人がいるの？
Yes.
いないよ。
I don't know about that.
それでもダメなんだ。
それでもダメ。
他の魅力的な誰かと交流してみてもなお自分の感情に変化がないのであれば、その時はその本物の感情を大切にしてあげなさい。
I get that, but in what way did she connect with him? We weren't given any reason to believe that she did.
中学の頃はあのダメ人間たちの真ん中にいました。
どうしてそんなことを？
I like her a ton. I'm so on her side.
あなたが昔の自分を見てるみたいでイラッとしたからです。あなた他人にというか女性に来た。
It's alright through you. Through her own experience.
偏見のないものの見方ができる。それは長所
Something a lot of people don't actually have, but you still have voids elsewhere.
どうしてそれを身につけたかを推測すると、女性に期待せずに育ったからです。
Yep. Awesome.
じゃあ昔の藤波さんも？
はい。人間全部に期待しています。
Jesus. Alright.
中学の頃に両親を事故で
Oh, okay. Now I see why.
二人の結婚は親戚一同に反対されていたようです。葬式の時も聞いたのは自業自得と二人をなじる言葉ばかりだ。その時周りに抱いた感情は怒りや
Just
悲しみ
feeling of
で
being
はなく、
lost. Empty.
仕方ないという諦めでした。
It's funny though. Two people who relationship is looked down on, huh?
今日は中秋の名月だそうですよ。
I like her so much for him because he seems like so high, like above everybody else in what he's capable of thinking and saying. And like in terms of what he's like capable of and understands, but she seems like she's even at like another level where she can like do things that he definitely can't, or like has things that he doesn't, where I don't necessarily feel or see that when it comes to like Saki. And I love that give and trade in the relationship, you know?
君は女性に期待していないと言いますが、それは多分嘘なんですよ。私もおばちゃんに言われるまでは自分の感情は嘘じゃないって思っていました。
おばちゃん？
You're just missing that figure to set it right. I mean, you got a mom now, right?
もうちょっと自分の心ってやつと折り合いをつけた方がいいって。だ 妥協っていうか、すり合わせっていうか。
Ability to compromise with oneself is like the hardest thing to do.
は期待したかったんじゃないのかい。それを裏切られたって思っている。あんた本当は傷ついたんだろうって。それを聞いてなんでかこう一晩中ずっと泣いていた気がします。気持ちに蓋をして無理に消そうとしていませんか？
Trying to replace it with other things to distract themselves from.
じゃあ明かすわけにはいかない。
気持ちってもんが抑えていつかは消えるものならそれでいいんですけどね。相手をフラットに見るということと期待しないということは別なんです。だって私たちは人間なんですから。どうしたって期待してしまう。をどれだけ騙しても達成されないと怒るし、気づかないうちに自分はダメージを受けてしまう。
でもそんなのは勝手すぎる。
You
勝手
can.
なんです。
Yes, you can.
人の気持ち。
Right. Certain things you can't, but you definitely can here. There's going to be a crazy confrontation between these two.
綾瀬さんを見た気がするんだ。
I wish she saw him too.
買い物に来てなかった？
新庄くんだよ。
おお、気づかなかった。
Not that I know who that is.
私も質問していい？
もちろん。
昨日夜遅かったけど。
Who are you with?
さんどこ行ってたの？
You want to play this game? Yeah, who are you with?
歩くだけ？読売さんと？
いや違うよ。ほらお昼食べる約束したって人。
You stayed out the whole night with
そ
them?
の人に。
待って、もしかしてその人って女の人？
まあ。
We're avoiding again. You have to talk about it. You have to open up. Because now everybody's going to have it in their head and they're going to struggle even more to do it.
すり合わせって何の？
Us?
俺綾瀬さんに特別な感情を持っているみたいなんだ。こんなたちの悪い冗談言わない。
だよね。そうだよね。浅村くん、そういう人じゃないもんね。
なんだと思う？
それは兄として？
Nope.
それとも触れ合いたいとか抱きしめたいとか、他の異性といるところを見て嫉妬してしまうとか。
Yeah. To the point that he got lost in a conversation that wasn't even happening.
そういう感情って兄弟でもあり得るでしょ？
Nope.
そうだよね。
いや
異性の愛情や承認に飢えていた人間は急に異性と接する機会が増えた時、恋愛感情に近いものを抱きやすいんだ
Sure,
って。
absolutely, but that's not where we're headed here.
そういうこともあるって話だろ。
ないと
He has plenty of girls around him. He is not starved for it, trust.
対する感情がやや強く出ているだけという可能性は？
Stop trying to look for an out here and face it. I don't know about forcing her into a conversation here, but maybe inform her to come to your room and talk to you if she feels like it.
嫌じゃないから。安心した？勇気を出してくれてありがとう。一人で考えていたんだとしたら、きっと辛くて。
He knows firsthand how much it's weighed on her.
その荷物は分け合える。その感情が 兄からのものだったとしても、それ以外のものだったとしても嫌じゃないから。私
As long as it's you.
どっちでも嬉しいから。あなたを安心させるために抱きしめてあげたいという気持ちは本当。私が辛い時に抱きしめてくれたら嬉しいって、そういう風にも思う。私はお母さんたちを困らせたくない。
俺も二人には本当に幸せになってほしい。
Fair.
私は浅村くんが他の女の子と仲良くしていたら嫉妬するし、多分モヤモヤする。
But you might need that to learn more.
同じ。勉強会は少し嫌だった。
人じゃなくて兄弟でもありえると思う。
Happen between friends also.
だから浅村くん、みんなの前ではあくまで兄弟として兄弟だけど、そうでもなくて一緒に荷物分け合える、特別に距離の近い。ごめん、私。
Reach out. It's okay. She asked for it.
期待する。これから俺は綾瀬さんに期待する。だから綾瀬さんも俺に期待してほしい。一緒に考えていこう。
The beginning steps to that
これからの関係を
Sanaki bottle and everything up.
大切にすり合わせていこう。
本当の家族になるまでの物語。
It works in a couple of ways. They're going full dramatic with the song here. Breakdown on it, just grab something, relieve some sort of tension that you get from it. All the energy and everything she put into basically having that talk with him came right crashing down there. All the nights of overthinking and everything, all up to that moment. Fill it in now. What a weird, like, way for me to feel, because I was left in the last, like, end of it, just not knowing at all, like, how to react or feel or what to, like, really do. And I feel like I just stayed silent for a majority of it. But it's interesting, and thoughts and stuff may change completely based on reflection and rewatch and stuff, but I'm just left not knowing how to feel for the most part. Because I think they did everything right, but at the same time, I just don't have words for it. Like I don't know at all what they even say. We spent so long building all this stuff up to get to the point that both characters are comfortable enough to be able to say and come to the conclusion that they were. So it's a good thing, right? And we're going to continue to work towards good things, but at the same time, there's no, like, I guess, definitive, like, thing that's, well, there is, though. I don't know. I don't know how to react. Huh. Well, I don't really know the words for it. What I can say is I haven't seen anything quite like this. Have at least come to the conclusion and develop its characters over the course of a single core and be able to find the conclusion that they ultimately come to in the romance genre, at least. So there's a big plus overall. I think that definitely can come out of it, because it's hard. I mean, it definitely is, and that's why I think like I struggle, because it's, can we can't simply just say, yeah, they get together, because then they have so many other problems and things you have to work with their parents and social norms and so many other things. But can you truly be happy and sit there and be okay with the fact that they're like, we have to, like, we can't do any of these or accept these feelings or any of the stuff that we have, you know? Like, can you do that? Can you be happy telling people like that they can't love the person that they do and like want the things that they want and stuff, you know? Like, can you truly be happy at the end of the day thinking that? So it's like, it's the best of both, essentially. We build them to a point that they openly can now communicate their own feelings with each other, not keep that stuff bottled in, be selfish to an extent, and they both can see that. But while they struggle and understand that maybe they can't do this, or maybe they can and don't know the direct route to take, they can put up a perception for plenty of others, but hold a relationship similarly, like kind of behind closed doors with them, with each other, you know, to still gain the physical like needs that they kind of have, but at the same exact time not have to like worry about the pushback and stuff from anything else that can come along with it. And maybe throughout time passing, you find the things that you're looking for. You find potentially the stuff that the teacher was talking about in the previous episode. You find that person. Maybe there is somebody else, in the feelings and stuff that you gain through something else. But at the same time, maybe you find your answer through working together and working these things out and not withholding things anymore from each other. And you can find a way to overcome this and work this out together, regardless of like what consequences and things that possibly could follow along and bring with it. It kind of nails everything it needs to do. I don't know how else to frame it at all. It's easy to sit here and also just be like, they could have just worked this out earlier, said these things, but it's like it's hard sometimes, you know? It's hard to tell people the way that you like truly feel and everything that's going on in your head without worrying about the way that you're going to be received through the other, you know? Like it's a hard fucking thing, and we get to see that like the overall growth specifically through Saki from episode 1 to 12 is really awesome. And at the same time, while he didn't do much, especially in the early half, being able to then see the real growth starting to come from Yuta towards the back end here, and how much his own feelings and thought process on things have kind of altered up and changed a little bit too, through the exact things that we kind of needed, which was meeting and experiencing other people and, you know, allowing them to change your viewpoints and perspective on a bunch of things too. Pretty excellent for what it does. I'm just gonna go through the episode because I'm just gonna sit here at a fucking complete loss for words overall if we don't. And I don't even know. I mean, I guess there's definitely scenes and stuff I can talk about here. Saki's awareness that she has a policy of all of this stuff, you know, of you need to understand, compromise, and do all these things, which is essentially what we get to by the back end. But at the same time, I've been avoiding that at all costs. It's the exact thing that happens when you're like, you're in a relationship or something, and everybody's telling you, dude, this is bad, dude, get out, or oh, this, I don't like this person, or this thing's bad, or you shouldn't allow this to happen. And you're just like, who the fuck are you to tell me about like what I should do in my life and my relationship and all that stuff? And then the exact thing that you were warned about happens, and then you're like, damn, I should have listened to you, you know? Or like when you're on the outside and you're telling somebody the exact same thing, and then when you get in on the inside and like to your own situation, in your own relationship or whatever else it is, and you just don't follow your own advice and the things that you say, it's like, fuck, I should have listened to myself. It's the exact same thing. The stopping the, or not showcasing the episode title or anything till the end is interesting. I don't know if it's like, I guess it's probably smart because it gets you thinking what it would be called by blanking it out here, and then when you fill it in towards the end, you have like your full resolution. Yeah, so I guess it hits harder, specifically if you decide to go that route. Little moments with Buddy here as we end up shopping and we learn a little bit about him, and then bro, I love how he sees her and he's like, "What the fuck were we talking about?" She's like, "I literally didn't say anything." It's so funny. He's so like occupied elsewhere, and she's like, "Yeah, I knew something was kind of off with you, dude. What are we doing?" And she's great. She's so fucking awesome. Literally everything that she does, and she sees right through him completely. She's like, "I know why you were here. I can relate to all this," and it makes perfect sense. And this is like where I had my complaints with the teacher, like feeling so like not even a part of the story at all, and then just coming in and like being like so important for it was like an issue. Was even though this girl isn't like much of one, she's so relevant in the fact that we've bumped into her on occasion at different moments. We had a little moment where we connected with it. She's somebody who has openly explained her own scenario and the things that she's gone through, and how that is leading her to actually being able to pick up and tell people who are possibly in that similar situation through, I mean, that's what happens. You can sometimes read others and see these things, especially if they almost remind you of themselves, or they remind you of yourself. Yeah. And I think that works perfectly in her scenario. So she sees entirely right through him, which I absolutely love. You were just trying to escape all of that stuff, and that's why you ended up running out of your way to me. You feel like that shouldn't actually be a thing, and you don't know what to do because you're bottling everything up inside, and you refuse to actually let it come out until the moment that you ultimately have to let it explode, and then things are as emotional and impactful as they have to be towards the back end here. But he comes out and outright just like says it to her, which like I guess respect to, and he's just like, wait, so there's nobody else in the picture? Why literally won't this work? I don't understand. But like, I also don't understand this, because then she like remembers the thing where you can connect to another person you're attracted to, and then you have your answer after you go through that. But at the same time, like, we haven't displayed that at all. Like, every advance he tried to make, she actively declined, and then they had one conversation. So all those words just feel like a waste to me now at this point, because what the fuck does that, like, what relevance does that hold? She didn't verbally, we haven't found out at all that she found any attraction in him. We didn't find out that there was any attraction on a level of, I want to get to know you and things about you and experience things with you to see if that can alter the way that I feel. None of that stuff was kind of done. We just showed up one day, we went to the convenience store, and we had a little conversation about your sister, and that's all we found out. And then all of a sudden he's like ready to take the next step, and she's just like, I tried. I gave it my all, teacher, but it didn't work. It's like that. You didn't really, but all right. I guess we'll go with it. This stuff is so sick to me, just because she's such a good fucking character. Everything that she's able to kind of pick up on, and the tons of things too. Like, I could tell you haven't had a woman in your life, the difficulties that you have kind of like progressing through a bunch of this stuff. And I was in a similar sort of situation, giving up, losing all hope on everything with humanity, the difficulties that she had to overcome with their parents, and feeling alone and just feeling lost completely and empty and wanting to give up on everything, until you have that figure in your life who can set you straight. And we're in a similar spot here now, without a mom figure for so long, and being able to have somebody in our life actively here is probably going to be a really important thing. And hopefully he can take some of the words that she says and whatever comes after throughout this story allows for him to openly go to her and talk to her about a bunch of things, and learn about himself maybe a little bit more through experiences and stuff that he can have regarding her. But at the same time too, maybe these two can stay really good friends, and he can learn a decent amount directly through her too, because she definitely has stuff that he's missing, which is what I talked about earlier too. It's a thing that you love to see, is like when two people are in a relationship and they don't have similarities between a lot of things, but they have the thing that the other person is like missing, essentially, and they can connect like puzzle pieces perfectly. And that's essentially what we have here. It's like it's different. Like him and Saki is different, because I don't see that at all. I see him having things that she's missing and she needs, but I don't necessarily see her having anything that he like can really utilize or like need or want, or anything that like maybe somebody else can't necessarily do. Whereas like I see that in this pairing here or something. So it's like maybe I'm going a little too hard with the shipping of something here. Must have been so painful, all of this. When I heard all of that stuff, it connected and I understood. It's something I've been needing to understand and hear, but instead you bottle all that stuff up and it makes it awful on you. I can't let them out. I can't do anything. I could never do something as selfish as that, you know? There's no way I could possibly go through and do that. And she's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Absolutely you can. Any feeling that you have is a selfish thing. That's absolutely true. There's some things that you shouldn't be. And it's not that you can't be, because I think I said that in the moment. You can be selfish to whatever extent that you want to. But the thing is, you have like, there's boundaries almost where you shouldn't pass them on certain levels, right? Here, it's completely different. This is like a certain feeling in a thing that is like struggling, like making an issue for you that you have to actively bottle up, and is like kind of throwing your day-to-day interactions, and like you probably lose sleep over this stuff. You can't even keep up in conversations. You're getting completely sidetracked. You're thinking about it at every moment. At a certain point, that's going to consume you, right? These are feelings that you can willingly let out, and you should let out. And it's a good thing that he's able to have somebody like her that he learns it from. I was surprised that we started directly from here with this conversation between the two of them. I think I saw you, and then at the same time, I love when she was like, "Oh, what were you or who were you with?" And he just avoided it at first, and then she's like, "No, but who were you with?" She goes, "Oh, so it was." It's another girl, no fucking away. And he just immediately comes out. He's just like, listen, I had to work out some thoughts and feelings, but like I got something here. And he's careful with his words, doesn't want to put it into too much, right? Like we gotta be cautious with what we go with here. And she thinks it's a joke, of course. Like something that you've been like this is also an interesting situation for them to be in by starting here and allowing her to retreat directly to go to her room and like break down immediately when she goes there. It's like she's mentally been in this place for a long time, but in this conversation, she was not mentally ready to hear this sort of information. And it immediately broke her to the point that she had no clue what to do, but to deflect, downplay his own feelings and reject them entirely because she doesn't know like where to be at. And she just immediately runs away through the issues that she has here. And she's like, there's no way. And she keeps denying, keeps trying to downplay it, act like you mean it in a different sort of way, and trying to find outs of this conversation, right? She's trying to avoid it continuously, and to the point that she has to like physically retreat. He walks up here in the moment. I don't know the right call here. I don't know if the right call is to give her space to think things out and come to you when she's ready, or if it's to push it and force it even more on her here. I feel like you shouldn't do that, but at the same time, maybe you got her in like such a state now where it's like so present on her mind that like you kind of, and also like it took a lot of courage for you to come out of your way and state this, like probably want to just have this conversation now and get it out the way. So I don't really know, but he's able to eventually get through to her by his persistence of kind of staying there and her working out the initial feelings and reactions and stuff that she has until she's willingly able to openly accept him and embrace him and give him sort of the thing that he feels as though he's missing, right? And we can also put it to a test at a certain point here where even though we think we both reciprocate feelings in certain ways here, we can separate that a little bit by giving all those desires and things that they feel that they need, and then we can also just see if that feeling continues and lasts, and maybe find out more about ourselves and find out exactly what that thing is, right? I can carry that weight with you. I can do these things for you, and I can be here for you to work through those feelings, regardless if we're going to say that you are a brother, or regardless if we say that we are anything else outside of that. And I can absolutely do that as long if it makes you happy and how that works. And it's the same thing on her end. She struggles too, and she doesn't know what to do. There's so many different outliers and things like that are involved here. How do we kind of operate between that? It's the basic thing that we talked about since episode 1, communication, right? As long as we can talk about these things and we can work them out, we don't have to keep hiding things. And now that we both know we reciprocate things, there's 1,000,000% no reason to keep continuously hiding this, maybe in public sort of view, but not necessarily outside of that in any sort of way. And she struggles continuously, and he can see verbal or physically, you can see that struggle. We didn't even need the crying, the pulling in, the like strong like grip that she almost has here on the skirt is like full representation of like the struggle that she's having of really getting these words out and like working things out in her head. But the tears just add another layer to like, let me willingly reach out, right? Let me stop for a second. Oh wait, we just talked about this. It's okay, right? Let's do this. We can count on each other. We can work on things through this with each other, and we will find out together what exactly our future can actually hold, right? We have a good thing going for us. Let's protect what we have in the shadows of what we need together, right? But at the same time, we can openly come out if opportunity is ever there for it, and we do feel that that's the present like proper thing for us to do. But at the same time, we have such a special thing that doesn't necessarily need to be destroyed in any sort of way. Yeah, we become a true family is hilarious to me. A little montage of her going through here. I like the immediate like, let me walk over here and just like collapse completely and grab onto something, like all energy exhausted out of that conversation, like everything in you, and you're just empty entirely. We move on tomorrow and tomorrow for whatever challenges and things will face them going forward within the story. Let's just yap about the whole series now, because screw it. I don't have anything else to really wrap that segment itself up with. It's a really interesting show for a variety of reasons. It takes things that don't typically get brought up on, right? Well, first off, I guess I should say it takes a genre that has become so memed on within the community, to the point that like when you have a title with this sort of name and you have this as like the general subject matter, you almost expect something to come out of it that they don't really want at all. Though the show decides to go in a complete opposite direction of that and tackle it completely different. It revolves around a lot of like fun things that I really enjoy, and I'm happy that they touch on, like that don't make every character feel as animated or as fake, and feel like there's a lot of like realistic and human emotions that can kind of follow between a bunch of the things that they're doing, which is fucking great, because not enough actually do. I mean, even the resolution that we come to by the back end of this episode is actual showcase for that. We don't need the full on answer of we have to get together or we don't, or like whatever comes out of it. Like we don't need to like overly make it like more dramatic and stuff than like the scenario is, but it is people working through these emotions and stuff and relying on others and growing just, you know, through their life here, right? Coming of age essentially for the first time. It's like, it's really hard to really navigate and work through those, and only through experiences and help of others and a variety of things can you really come to those sort of answers. So I think it works itself out really fucking nice, and I absolutely think that's great. The best thing about this entirely, though, at least my favorite thing, is the overall direction of it. The ability to give things so much space, the ability to have moments where we're literally just eating, to tell a story through the atmosphere, to tell a story through movements and language of what the characters are kind of doing, without actually having to verbally speak. And even when they do, you can tell through like the way that they may like stutter over certain words or avoid certain topics, and the way that they act out in certain moments, you know. That's what really sells it, and that's what really tells the story, on top of the fact that the directing was so excellent for a lot of it, with the diary scenes being so cool and having so many like unique ways to stylize this to make it feel like it's something more than it really is, to really bring the story to life and make it feel like it has maybe more budget and like stuff in that, than it actually probably ended up having, and then a lot of attention to detail on a variety of these things, I think, make for a really awesome way that they kind of bring this to life, which I definitely want to give my hats off to the team involved on this, because that's really stellar, I think, job that they ended up doing. And it made every single moment like more interesting, and it didn't make anything feel like it was like, I don't know, it's slower paced, sure, and some people are going to be turned off immediately by that, but I really enjoyed the pacing of it, and I enjoyed like the kind of feeling that it just gave off, in general, and how difficult like it kind of is for a lot of these people to like grow and work towards things and change who they actually are as a person, or accept that they can be certain ways when they've maybe been taught in the past to not be those ways, or had to convince themselves of that through past experience and stuff. And I think it just displays it really excellently. Yuta and Saki are pretty cool. I don't particularly find either of them very intriguing as characters, to be fair. They each have like certain elements about them that might be like really intriguing, but nothing like overall that just like stands out and makes me like really think about like them or the things they do or the way that they think that screams this is like refreshing and a new take or something. I think like overall they complement each other really well, to the point that the entirety of the show works itself out, to feel like it has a like nice and refreshing take on things, but maybe not necessarily like too much about each of them individually. I think that does it. I think it's more the dynamic that I get out of it, that makes me feel that. But yeah, I mean, Yuta has fairly basic design going for him. Saki has a pretty nice design. I like her a lot when she definitely cut her hair. Side characters are kind of very few throughout this. We have Maya, who is weird. She doesn't feel necessarily like she fully belongs, being extremely animated and like different than the others, but she does have her moments where she lets that down a bit and she acts out like actually like a normal person, and then she seems pretty fine in those moments, but there's not too much development or anything like involvement really with her to make me latch on to that. Shiori's been a nice breath of fresh there because she's been rather fun with like her teasing and everything, and I really wish there was more kind of involving her throughout this, but we didn't necessarily get that. I liked her a ton. And then the girl that we meet with the school, cram school and everything that we talked to, who's very relevant over the past couple of these episodes, probably the next most important character. And I liked her a ton from the little that we were able to get out of her, outside of just her design being really great in general. But overall, I mean, cast of characters are fine, nothing particularly great, but they do the job for me. Let's see what else we have. Pacing's really good, directing's really good, characters, the OP is pretty nice. I like it, and I like the parallels and stuff, the stuff between them being like younger and the way that they are now and the growth that you overall have. The ED I think is really stylized in a really fucking cool way, which is definitely nice. I think the utilization of music throughout the entirety of the show and the absence of it at certain moments is excellently done, which is a big old thumbs up for me. Really enjoy that. I think the overall character arcs that we go on, the growth that they get, the natural and realistic feelings of different emotions like jealousy and like feelings and needs to like kind of not rely on others and do things on your own and maybe hide things from people and bottle emotions up and become independent and do a variety of things, especially at their ages, is really excellently done and showcased in a variety of moments. I think the diary sequences are really stellar and really do a good job at making things entertaining and putting a little bit more detail and twist on what exactly we've already built up and known, and giving more clarity on where Saki's head is at for somebody who we don't necessarily go inside of her head as much throughout the series. So that is pretty sick too. Overall, it was one of my favorite shows I think to discuss on the so far on the channel that I've done, which has been really nice. But it's probably not like one of my favorite things overall that I've watched. It started out that way, especially the first 3 episodes I thought were really excellent. But I think like for the most part, the midway point, like kind of just was a little lacking towards me. Like it didn't interest me as much. And then especially towards the back end, like episode 11, I had like some problems with. The ending here is really good, but like it was kind of like it started off really strong and then it just like didn't die out, but it like faded a little bit for me. So I don't necessarily like, I wasn't head over heels the entire way through, but I thought it was really nice. And really enjoyable. And if you're in a certain sort of like headspace or mood, I think it's a really good show to actually be able to watch. I had a scenario like that recently where I watched, what was it called? Just Because. I watched, I say recently, it was many months ago, but I remember I woke up one day, it was like midnight when I woke up because I was on a really bad sleep schedule. And I was just like, I'm going to probably go back to sleep in like 8 hours or something. But at this point, let's just watch something. I don't know what to watch. And I was kind of in something for that's like a little more, I guess, moody is the word I can use. And I didn't know really what to watch. And I thought that for whatever reason, just gave me the vibe that it might be. I watched it and it fit it perfectly. I didn't like it too much. I think I'd give it like a 6. It wasn't too great, but at the same time, it kind of just filled the gap for exactly what I need. So I think this like fills that void a little bit for certain like moments if you're in certain headspaces, and at other points if you're looking for certain things, it's just not gonna fill that, and that just depends on who you are as a person and what you kind of want to watch at the time. But overall, I enjoyed it. I'd give it a recommendation to people. Absolutely. Not my favorite thing that I watched throughout the season, but easily quality, and there's no real complaints there. So I don't think I have much I want to add going into things outside of this. Oh, family dynamics, they did a good job at too, being able to bring like the mom involved and have her little arc and stuff, of how like she wants to be included and stuff. I wish they touched on that stuff and like with the dad a little bit more, and went into a little bit, but it's okay that they really didn't. But I do like when we get that stuff sometimes and show how important that stuff is for parents, not necessarily just like the kids and their relationship to their parent, but the parent and their relationship to their kid, and how much that stuff kind of means to them. So yeah, I think that's really all I'm gonna have. Hopefully you guys enjoyed all of this. Thank you very much for joining me on my journey through all 12 episodes of this. Pretty sick. And And we are moving into the fall completely here. I still got to finish Spice and Wolf, and then yeah, fully into the fall season. We're only doing ReZero season 3, Dun Dun Dun, and Blue Box are probably going to be the only 3 shows I do, because Lord knows I can't keep up with more than, we have 6 on the channel now, so I can barely keep up with that. So we are not adding any more for the time being. But yeah, leave any recommendations and stuff for other shows you might want me to check out when really anything else that I'm watching ends, so we can fill in a gap at some point. Thank you very much for all the support and everything throughout all these videos. For everybody who enjoyed this series, if you liked it all though, hit the like and subscribe. You may feel free to check out the videos in the channel. If you comments with this episode or series, I'll be back for other things in the future. I hope to see you then. You guys have a great one though. Peace.